you're such an interesting example of somebody who's been there writing great books for a really long time and really built that loyal audience and have turned it into just a huge success.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it is cool to see, 14 books in, to see that build and build. And then when you talk to people and they're like, my first book was Deadeye, which was like book four. My first book was Burner, which was like book 12 or whatever it was. And then they go back and read them. And I remember and you may have a story like this or a memory like this as well. When my first book came out, now my first book was just it was The Gray Man. It was just a mass market paperback. It didn't get a hardcover release. But I remember getting emails from people who liked it. And they're like, I immediately went online to buy everything you've ever written and there was nothing else. And I just remember just that feeling of dread that like I could have sold two books to this guy or three books to this guy if only I had that long tail of published stuff. And now I've got, this is my 26th published novel somewhere in the Tom Clancy, you know, vein, and there were some ghost written books in there as well. But
Right.
I still have that memory of just being so frustrated that people wanted to buy something else I've written. I just hadn't written anything else yet.
And now
So
you can say, let me tell you, I got you
yeah,
covered
yeah,
for the next
exactly.
few years.
Yeah, let me direct you to several choices.
And one of the reasons I think your books have been so popular is because of the just really meticulous research that you do for them. And I think in the last one, we'll go over the specific example. You have a big
Hmm.
scene in the Russian subway. And so, you can look those things up, we all know, and it's easier now than it was back in the
Yeah.
day, but you don't like to do that. You like to go and be on location and get it figured out. Is
Yeah,
that true?
yeah, when possible. And it's amazing what you can do today, obviously online. And I always look at like Tom Clancy writing Cardinal of the Kremlin, and he was not in Russia writing that, and he was not online writing that. He was,
Right.
just doing it the way they did it back then, just reading, just just lots of, looking for lots of material and consuming it and talking to lots of people. But when I get the opportunity, I like to go to the places. And it would not be safe to go to Russia now at all. You would just be snatched up and traded back for somebody that, is in the West. But I fortunately went there several years ago when I was writing Tom Clancy books. Actually, the last book Tom and I did before he passed away. And so I do have thousands and thousands of pictures and notes and just, a lot of stuff I didn't even look up. I just remembered. And I remembered which subway stations I thought were, really cool in the city center. And I thought about, what could be. And so I started building that scene, which I think goes over the course of two or three chapters. And as I built it, I mean, I definitely was looking at Google Maps, and I definitely was looking at videos of that subway station to see how long the cars, each car was open or at the station because I didn't have all that down, but I did have a lot of firsthand, you know, uh, just stuff in my head about it. So when you get the chance to
And
do that, it's great.
yeah, and were you thinking when you walked through it the first time, someday I'm going to do a big sequence here? Or did it
Yeah.
just spring into your mind when you needed something for this book?
Yeah, well, I think it just sprung into mind mostly because I remember when I was writing that book, a lot of times people always go, do you go to the location first and then write the book, or do you do it at the end? And it just always depends on when you have time to go to wherever you're going. I've gone to Beijing or Algeria or whatever, and in a perfect world, I would have a couple of ideas, then I would go do location research and then flesh them out and get more ideas. But a lot of times it's really late in I've written the scenes. Now I just have to go make them make sense. And with that book, when I was in Russia, it was a book called Command Authority. And I think it was due like at the end of June, and I was there in May. So I'd already written a lot of the book. So I wasn't really spending a lot of time in Russia with no ideas trying to come up with scenes. But I guess I was probably, putting stuff in the back of my head. I guess at the time I figured I'll go to Russia next time I'm writing a book about Russia, and that was before the initial invasion into Ukraine, and things have changed very, very much since. So you never really think about not being able to go back again, but that was the case here.
Same thing happened to me in Syria. I
Oh,
thought, oh,
yeah,
I'll go in 6 months or like, and that'll be perfect timing for me.
yeah,
And it's the most stable country in the Middle East.
yeah,
And then it was
yeah.
gone. There was just no way to do it anymore.
Yeah.